U.S. military just released this new video of one of the missile strikes, part of Operation Epic Fury that killed Iran Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. New tonight, threats of revenge. Iran's military says a severe, decisive, and regret-inducing punishment is imminent. About an hour and a half ago, President Trump responded to Iran's threats on social media, saying in all caps, quote, "They better not do that, however, because if they do, we will hit them with a force that has never been seen before." In Iran, a mix of celebration and mourning. Some took to the streets elated of the news of the Supreme Leader's death, while outside the capital in Tehran, pro-regime crowds gathered in mourning. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Michelle Esteban. Over 24 hours ago, the U.S. announced it and Israel carried out joint airstrikes on Iran, dubbed Operation Epic Fury. In that time, the fighting has continued across the Middle East, from Israel to Qatar to Abu Dhabi, and it is expected to continue for days. We have team coverage for you on the geopolitical implications of this strike at home and abroad, and how our local Iranian and Jewish communities are responding to the latest escalation. Let's start with national correspondent Atra El-Nashar in Washington, D.C. this evening.
Joint U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran, called Operation Epic Fury, have taken out top members of Iranian leadership, including Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, a key objective of the strikes and a blow to the Iranian regime that will have major repercussions. In a social media post, President Trump says Khamenei, one of the most evil people in history, is dead. He was unable to avoid our intelligence and highly sophisticated tracking systems, and working closely with Israel, there was not a thing he or the other leaders that have been killed along with him could do. The heavy and pinpoint bombing, however, will continue uninterrupted throughout the week or as long as necessary to achieve our objective of peace throughout the Middle East and indeed the world. This map of Iran shows just how widespread the U.S.-Israeli strikes have been so far. In recent weeks, President Trump openly weighed military action as nascent nuclear talks with Iran, as recent as Thursday, didn't immediately yield a deal.
We will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties.
Smoke seen here in Bahrain, home to a U.S. Navy base. Here is where Iran is retaliating against Israel and U.S. military bases. The yellow countries contain sites that have been targeted. Red have been hit. Iran has been preparing for this, running provocative Navy drills with Russia, warning any attack would be met with greater force than what followed last summer's Operation Midnight Hammer strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities.
We learned lots of lessons from the previous war, and we will certainly teach the aggressors a lesson they deserve.
President Trump tells Iranian civilians to, for now, shelter in place.
When we are finished, take over your government. It will be yours to take.
Back in the U.S., many members of Congress, mostly Democrats, demand clarity on the president's objectives.
This sounds an awful lot like it could be Iraq War 2.0. This is war. This is major. These are major combat operations. And under the Constitution, that means Congress must vote on whether or not we send American troops to war.
Republican leadership issuing statements of support. House Speaker Mike Johnson says today Iran is facing the severe consequences of its evil actions. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, I commend President Trump for taking action to thwart these threats. In some of America's biggest cities like Los Angeles, New York City, and here in D.C., police departments are increasing or preparing to increase officer presence at sensitive locations like government buildings and religious sites. In Washington, I'm Atra El-Nashar.
Atra, thank you. Tonight, we are also hearing from Washington's congressional leaders. We spoke with Representative Adam Smith just this afternoon. He is the top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee. He called the decision to strike Iran a mistake.
So we have launched this war, placing U.S. service members at risk. We now have a full-scale war throughout the Middle East. Iran has responded by attacking a half-dozen countries. The president has said this will go on for at least for days, and there's no evidence that the Iranian regime is any closer to falling today than when it was, 12 hours ago or 14 hours ago when these attacks were launched.
The reaction to the strikes is split among party lines right here in our state. Senator Patty Murray calling for Congress to vote to put an end to the conflict, writing this: every senator should be on the record. The American people deserve to know which of their leaders supports another potentially bloody and costly war in the Middle East. Representative Pramila Jayapal called the actions unconstitutional. Meanwhile, Republican Congressman Michael Baumgardner praised President Trump, calling him, quote, America's most strategic and consequential commander-in-chief since Eisenhower.
Boots on the ground, bombs in the air, U.S. out of everywhere.
A large group of protesters rallied outside Pike Place Market in Seattle over the U.S. involvement in the attack on Iran. Protesters called on leaders to keep U.S. troops out of the Middle Eastern country. For Iranian-Americans, the news brings a mix of emotions. At issue, what may come from such drastic change at once is such a pivotal moment in the country's history for a new path forward. KOMO's Tyler Cunnington sat down with two locals in the Seattle area for their thoughts, as well as what Jewish advocates are saying about the attack. Tyler.
Yeah, well, Michelle, for some people, this was an obvious day to celebrate, but others say they are wary about what a regime change would exactly look like and the consequences of that on the people of Iran, especially when some of them still have family living overseas. For many Iranian Americans in the Seattle area, Saturday morning brought some of the biggest news in almost half a century.
It's a great day. I'm so happy for us living here and people in Iran.
Layla Faranj among those in a frenzied crowd in Bellevue celebrating the death of Iran's Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Many even taking the time to dance on top of the Islamic Republic's flag Saturday morning.
We are safer right now than in 24 hours ago because he got killed. They are evil people. They don't have soul.
But for others, the enthusiasm fades quickly.
The reality is we just don't know. I could find out tomorrow that they're dead. I might hear something in a week.
Lay Tavasoli hasn't had any contact with his father and immediate family members in central Iran and Tehran. The topic of a regime change happened often with his dad, even as recent as last week.
Iranians have to free themselves because only Iranians can determine what is correct for Iran.
And despite agreeing the supreme leader was a brutal one, Tavasoli is very skeptical and nervous that history could repeat itself.
Because the current regime might be fallen, but if someone else is put in power by the U.S., Israel, that is not freedom, it's just a repackaged imprisonment.
The American Jewish Committee's regional chapter says they back the U.S. and Israel due to the regime's reign of terror over its own people and the region, as well as the threat of nuclear weapons.
Today's military action follows years of escalation by the Iranian regime, deception, and their refusal to meet the international commitments. And I think that we all want to avoid war at all costs. And we've tried the diplomatic approach to dealing with Iran. It didn't work.
Now, we were sent some videos by a local Iranian community group that showed people out there in the streets celebrating in various parts of the country. They got those videos before the internet went out in the country earlier today. Tavasoli says he doesn't really know when he may get in touch with his father next, but he added that Iranians are resilient, and that is a character trait that all of their people will need for this saga moving forward. Live in Seattle tonight, Tyler Cunnington, KOMO News.
Certainly indeed. All right, Heather, thank you.